I'm going to get my RØDE Video Micro. I'm going to hook it up to my Sony a6400 and plug it in. Right, you should be seeing my Sony screen with all of the settings, and you should be seeing the audio levels coming in channel 1 and channel 2. So it's a stereo mic. It has a TRS jack on it, which looks like this. I don't know if you'll see that. TRS means tip, ring, sleeve. So those are the three components on the jack plug that are actually doing something. So it's giving you a left and a right channel. The microphone's getting power from the camera in this instance. So if you're using one of these mics, just beware that it will drain your battery a little quicker than it otherwise would. And if you're on the Sony a6400, that can be a real problem because the battery life is terrible. And this button here is my audio levels. So the preamps in the Sony cameras aren't great. They're usable, but they're very hot. So I tend to keep the level at 1, which is as low as it will go. If I turn that down to 0, it's not going to pick up any audio at all. If I start to turn it up, bear in mind that the camera's not pointing at me. So if I turn it around to point it at me, then adjust the levels. So it's the same sort of thing. You don't want to be going up to the red. Bring it back down until it's below, and even considerably lower isn't a problem because you can always boost the signal in your editor afterwards. Remember I said that you can't fix it if you go into clipping, but you can fix it if the level's too low. So I would always err on the lower side of levels rather than higher because it's easier to fix. Well, not easier, it's possible to fix. It's impossible to fix it if you go into clipping.
Cams, can I ask a direct question on this piece exactly?
Of course.
If you're on like volume 1 on the Sony, so I do the exact same thing as you. I put volume 1, and then on the mic itself, so I have the NTG video mic, like the fancy one with the USB-C. On that one, it has like a little dial where you can like adjust the volume, adjust like the gain on that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend doing that on the mic? So I put it on like 7 on the actual mic and then leave the Sony piece on 1, or would you still leave that low and then just adjust it in the editor?
Right, you're getting into what's called gain staging, and that's when you've got multiple places where you can adjust the level. And I'll just point out the difference between gain and volume. They're two different things. Let me just bring my camera back on. So gain is the input stage and volume is the output stage. So you want to get the gain level set as quickly as possible. So you would do it in your case on the microphone, unless you have a really nice audio interface with decent preamps, in which case you would want to use those preamps and not the built-in one to your cheap microphone. But with the Sony preamps and with the NTG, you want to just use the NTG. I have a similar thing here on this RØDE, what's it called? RØDE Stereo Video Mic Pro. And it doesn't have a dial, but it does have a 10 dB cut and a 20 dB cut. But there's no gain knob as such, so in that instance I would probably just use the preamps on the camera if I was using this to go straight into camera. So does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. Because like I don't know if you can see it very well, but
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Little dial here. And so I put this on, like I figured out that like to have it at a point in which there's no kind of clipping, or it doesn't even get close to clipping, to be fair, but like so I can make, when I put it into Final Cut, when it's on 7 on here, and I lift it on Final Cut, and I have like some decent Sony headphones and put it on like full volume, it sounds like okay. And so I guess from my point of view, in terms of like minimal friction, I just want to have it like as decent as possible going into the editor, so I don't need to edit it too much when it comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go. You want to get the signal boosted to line level as quickly as possible. bearing in mind that as you turn up the input gain, it's going to pick up more of the room noise as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act, and you can always boost it in post as well if it's too low. So that covers all of the audio stuff that I had. I don't want to go any deeper than that because that's probably half an hour I've been talking already. Goodness me, longer than that even. So I'll leave the audio there and we'll come back if anyone's got questions. We can come back to that.